Hello everyone and welcome back to my The Young and Restless 24 YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Phyllis Summer's parlous choice while Summer's scheme pays off. For starters, Phyllis will have to decide whether to trust Sharon mystery working chops. The kidnapper may want Phyllis in a situation where she has to have faith in Sharon despite their history. Grounded on the suggestions, Sharon will remain convinced a special bottle of water contains the cure for the bane Phyllis putatively ingested. That said, no bone can be sure of anything when they're playing this crazy guessing game. Phyllis will sweat this bottle could make effects worse if Sharon is wrong, but she'll presumably choose to trust her in the end and gulp it down. When Phyllis's symptoms snappily begin to subside, it could leave her a little more thankful to have Sharon around. The prisoner may be pleased over this development since the thing still seems to be bringing Sharon and Phyllis together. Phyllis and Sharon will make some updates to their strategy. In the meantime, Summer will do some designing and find a way to ruin Kyle's night with Claire. Although Claire and Kyle were hoping to have a romantic evening together, Summer will manage to get in the way. There's a good chance Claire will suspect Summer knows exactly what she's doing. Claire may get irked over Kyle buying whatever Summer's selling to bait him down from their date night. Anyhow, Kyle will cancel or at least delay his plans with Claire. It'll bring some pressure in Claire and Kyle's relationship, which will clearly work to Summer's advantage since she wants Kyle back. As for Holden, he'll find Claire drinking alone at the GCAC bar and decide to join her. Holden will be his usual fascinating tone and may strike up a fellowship with Claire, maybe one that could ultimately come commodity more. Summer will do everything in her power to tear Claire and Kyle piecemeal, so stay tuned for any bad news that's brewing. Poisoned Phyllis will need and cure, so Sharon will carry out a frantic hunt. In prison, Sharon will pound over the rearmost mystery and grow frustrated when Phyllis refuses to partake the answer she figured out. After some bickering, Phyllis will eventually admit that remission is what's worth everything and costs nothing. Still, Phyllis will find the conception ridiculous and will argue that she'd rather die in there than ever authentically forgive Sharon. Phyllis will also do some exercises and guzzle a bottle of water, but she'll come seriously ill soon after. Once Phyllis complains about the nausea, she'll coil up on the lounge and admit it feels like her stomach is on fire. Sharon will supplicate the prisoner for help, so the malformed voice will suggest she'd more start looking for the cure. The kidnapper will contend that maybe Phyllis is dying and he's making good on his earlier trouble since she's not cooperating. Sharon will push for an indication, so the prisoner will allude that it's the morning and the end, though you can't see it. After searching each around the room, Sharon will realize water may be the answer. Water is clear and it's what started Phyllis's symptoms, so Sharon will suppose it could be what ends them, too. There'll be a bottle marked with a sticker, so Sharon will make a vaticination about it being what Phyllis needs and prompt her to drink it. At Billy's place on Monday's Y&R occasion, Nick will stop by and admit there have been no new updates on Sharon and Phyllis. Billy will wonder how certain Nick is that Ian is dead, so Nick will admit he called the morgue and got evidence that Ian was cremated. That'll leave Billy upset there might be another madcap behind the hijacking, but Nick wouldn't suppose they know that for sure. Moreover, after Billy urges Nick to take a break from the hunt and have a beer with him, Nick will open up about how delicate all this has been. Although Nick will make it clear this isn't going to be a regular cling thing, Billy will feel like he appreciates the moment anyway. At the GCAC, Nate will assure Audra that he trusts her, but he'll also know it can be tough to open up about everything regarding an old honey. Audra will assure Nate and ultimately head back to his apartment, where she'll recap what she learned from Holden. After Audra addresses about Holden acting resentful of Damien bossing him around, she'll mention Damien's hot temper. Nate will worry about too numerous people questioning Damien and spooking him off, but Audra will suppose it's wise to be conservative and gather all the data. Audra will also tease Nate about him perhaps being a little jealous and suggest it's evidence that their relationship is important to him. Nate will hope he doesn't need to act jealous to let Audra know that and will give her a kiss. After Holden textbooks Audra and apologizes for bailing on lunch, he'll admit he still needs a friend. Audra will show the communication to Nate, who'll textbook Holden back for her and contend that he's got one. Holden could remain a precious source of Damien information, so stay tuned for all the stunning news ahead. Phyllis will consider Nick as a kidnapper suspect after Sharon accuses Summer and Daniel. At the abandoned psychiatric sanitarium, Sharon will look through books for suggestions about their prisoner's identity, but Phyllis will act like it's a waste of time. Sharon and Phyllis will debate whether the person behind this might be a former croaker or case connected to the installation. Although Phyllis will suppose they need to dip into the Newmans' deep pockets and pay their way out of this, Sharon won't suppose the kidnapper wants plutocrat. Since their prisoner is using their history against them and conceivably wants them to work effects out, Sharon will suggest perhaps a friend or family member is responsible. Phyllis will assume Sharon means her children, so Sharon will point out that Daniel and Summer could indeed be options then. After Phyllis argues against that suggestion, she'll bring up Nick as a kidnapper possibility rather. Sharon won't suppose Nick would discipline them like this, and when Phyllis hints that Faith or Mariah might be to condemn, Sharon will shut that idea down, too. Phyllis will ultimately get rankled up and nearly smash the window open so she can scream for help, but Sharon will advise her not to. It could rile up their kidnapper, not to mention it'd leave them indurating since it's downtime. The prisoner will ultimately return with a communication and contend this isn't about being entertained. The game will be all that matters, so the malformed voice will want to get back to it. Sharon and Phyllis will be asked what's worth everything and costs nothing. At Billy Place, Daniel will agree with him about Phyllis's jest being completely crazy. Since Daniel won't suppose it's possible Sharon and Phyllis went off on some girl's trip, Billy will worry they might have been abducted together. At Crimson Lights, Nick will admit to Summer that there's a 99.9% chance that whatever happened to Phyllis and Sharon wasn't good. That said, Nick will try to keep Summer's spirits up anyway. Still, Chance will have plenitude of bad news since Sharon no way checked into any gyms in the Sedona area or took any breakouts there. Sharon's auto will eventually be set up in the Cassidy First parking lot. As for Phyllis, her own auto will still be at the athletic club and there'll be no substantiation that she took a auto service or rideshare to the field. Chance will offer updates to Nick, Summer, Daniel and Billy, and he'll ask for the burner phone figures Sharon and Phyllis used as well. Summer will spin some hijacking propositions before Daniel realizes this is starting to sound like unsanctioned disquisition. Phyllis and Sharon's time in prison will come with further twists and turns. Claire will land in a tight spot while Sharon blasts Phyllis. Jack will also make an oath to Summer, so then's what YNR has in store. First, Lily will unmask some news about Damien, who doesn't really enjoy the companies he's amusement like he owns. Aristotle Dumas is the proprietor rather, so Lily will give Nate and Devin updates on Victor Discovery. Still, Nate will blast Lily over this disquisition since Damien could find out and get frenetic enough to bail on his attempt to repair effects with Amy. Nate wouldn't like the idea of Victor getting tangled up in all this either, so he'll lecture Lily and push her to just butt out. Nonetheless, Devin will have some moping Damien enterprises and will put Lily through a private grilling session latterly. Lily and Devin may decide it's their duty to cover Nate whether he wants them to or not. Next, Billy will get bad vibes when it comes to this odd Phyllis situation, so he'll compare notes with the upset Daniel. Although Summer will still feel like Sharon could be the reason why Phyllis is acting so weird, Chance will want to keep the focus on the data. Daniel will get pushy with Chance about unsanctioned GCPC disquisition, but Chance may not be sure about launching one yet. Sharon and Phyllis's phone calls will muddy the waters a bit just like their prisoner intended. In prison, Sharon will rage at Phyllis when she threatens to use a president to shatter a window. Phyllis will want to take charge of the situation and scream at the top of her lungs for help, but Sharon will worry she's going to bring them their lives. Although Phyllis will eventually rope Sharon into some form of an escape plan, the prisoner may be sure to baffle it. Billy and Adam will take dabs at each other during a coffeehouse run heft. It may be egregious that Adam and Chelsea have reconnected romantically from where Billy's standing. After Billy hurls some cuts Adam's way, Adam will bring up what he assumes is Billy's moping desire for vengeance. Billy may claim he's concentrating on the future, but Adam will still suppose he's a target along with Newman Media. Meanwhile, Nikki will supplicate Victor and Jack to just put their enmity away, but they'll garbage. That's especially true since Jack's about to uncover a leak at Jabot. It should leave Jack suspecting that Victor planted intelligencers at his family company, and that's exactly what his rival did. Back with Nikki, she'll hear to Claire's problems and offer some guidance. Latterly, Claire will land in a tight spot when Victor hands down and claim. Victor might argue that his decision's been made when it comes to Kyle. Maybe Victor will advise Claire to back off, or differently, she's just going to make the pressure worse. As for Kyle, he'll feel like Summer's been stepping out of bounds recently. Kyle will push Summer to be regardful to Claire and avoid making any precariousness worse. At some point, Jack will also make an oath to Summer, so we'll see if that involves consolation about chancing Phyllis or maybe about her place within the Abbott clan. Jack is always going to be fond of Summer and may want her to know she'll always be part of the family, especially through her link to Harrison. Eventually, Audra Charles will make Holden Novak her designing maid again, so our prognostications allude this could blow up in her face. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Audra will be playing with fire by spending further time with Holden and keeping fresh secrets from Nate.